Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of
AFA. I can't hear you, Mark. You kind of went blank. You there?
Mike. Hello.
Hello. I'm not sure if that was on your end or my end.
That was very strange. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes. But
well, excellent. Sherry, welcome.
Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA. What do we bring you, Mark? We bring you
hope, inspiration for growth and healing.
So you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you've forgotten, I know I have.
Oh, my God, it's so easy to forget. Yeah, you're absolutely amazing, exactly as you are.
Yep. Now, and you wrote a book about it, which is just really important. It's a great book.
I did.
Just to remind us that we're not our stories. We're not the people, places, and things in our lives. We're not what people tell us. We're not our conditions. We're not the core of who we are.
Yeah.
Mark says,
Sherry,
it's absolutely fucking amazing. And what is the
You're absolutely fucking amazing. And you know what?
And it's inside.
We think that this is who we are. Our emotions are who we are. Our thoughts are who we are. None of that is reality. Beyond that is spirit, your love. You're absolutely amazing. Whole, complete, and perfect, Sherry. That's what you are. Whole, complete, and perfect.
Even with my
yeah, that looks sore. Even with that, you're perfect.
Well, it's just interesting because, like, I'm not going to lie. Yesterday after, we did the show, I had to go get this gum surgery. So just tell me I wasn't really too thrilled about that. And how I worked through it. I wasn't feeling AFA because my teeth weren't as good as they could be. And so you start to create these stories. Then on top of it all,
just physical.
Then on top of it all, I was trying to think of every excuse in the book to not go. Every excuse, every single thing. But then the night before, I had it lined up perfectly. How am I going to get there? I can't use, cannabis the way I want to use it.
Right.
But what can I do? What can I do to get through the door, to get through the experience? And then after I had it done, I went home and I had a list of things to do. And basically I had to get back to, there's no one more important than me right now in my mouth. And I need to
absolutely.
And so, basically it was taking that break, withdrawing, going in and just not talking for, the rest of the day. To let myself start to heal.
And here you are, next day, ready to go. AFA all the way.
AFA all the way, even with the gum on my gum.
Even with the gum on the gum. Yeah.
So I want to just really, before we get into the daily love, I just want to tell people really quickly how I got through it, especially if people are going
through. I think it's a good story, Cher.
Well, especially with oral surgery, mouth stuff, people that consume cannabis, especially inhalation. I'm one that inhales.
Right.
And I can't do that for 48 hours.
And that's a valid route of administration.
Yeah. And so I had to kind of shift, and especially having a lot of pain in the mouth. I'm going to tell you one of the things that worked really, really well was water soluble CBD.
Yeah. Right? Nanotechnology.
Nano. So rinsing it around in my mouth and also getting it into my system.
And we'll talk, it's funny you mentioned that, Sherry. It dovetails into what we're going to talk about today, which is fat soluble and water soluble.
Exactly.
And why it's really important, why that really worked for you very well.
Yep, exactly. So that's why I wanted to bring that little
Genius.
Back in.
Genius, Sherry.
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Brian, Eric.
Yes. Rise and shine. It is Nurse Mark and Green Nurse Sherry time. Woo!
Woo! Okay, Cher, lay the daily love on us. You got a good one today.
Yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz is really one of my favorites. I say his name wrong all the time, but he wrote the 4 Agreements, and the 4 Agreements really, really is a great way just to really become solid with your own, your own self.
Right.
Really helps you go within and to look and how I show up in the world for other people. So he wrote this little book of wisdom, little book of wisdom. And so I'm going to read one of the little chapters that are in there. And it kind of ties along the lines of a lot of the things that we talk about in the morning. So here we go. I touched upon a little bit of this on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. So here it goes. Many people try to change the world by changing the secondary characters in their story. They try to control everybody around them. How do they do that? It's easy to understand. They love people the way they themselves were loved. They love with conditions. What does that mean? I love you if you let me control you. If you do what I want you to do, we can be so happy. We learn to love everybody with conditions because everybody loves us with conditions. The problem is that we can't change the secondary characters. We can only change the world by changing the main character of our story, which is ourselves. The biggest way you can change yourself is by learning to love yourself unconditionally. So to be clear, you can help me to change the world by changing your own world. Unconditional love for yourself. And when you do that, it's like magic because everyone around you will also change because the lens that you're looking through is different. There you go. Boom, 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 boom. Right? It's a good one.
It's all about the lenses you get on.
It is. It's about the lens. And so, I wake up in the morning and I'm putting on, what kind of goggles am I putting on? The goggles of love?
Yeah.
Goggles of fear.
Yeah, you get to choose. Sometimes you get to choose.
Sometimes you do, right?
Yeah,
but a lot of times you forget. And so
that's a lot of time. That's why we talk about it, right?
That's why we do this every day, every morning. So how about you, Mark? You have any daily love for us today?
Oh, Sherry, I don't want to follow up that one. That was perfect. It was just like, boom.
Settling right in.
Yes. No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
That's the part that I love is that you've been doing this every day too. You wake up in the morning and you pull from various.
Yeah. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. Now, there's some things that I have not been doing, like journaling, and I love journaling, and I haven't been doing that for some reason. I got away from that, and now I'm kind of reminded that, boy, it's really good when I journal. Yeah.
We go back and reread. I mean, I go the journals that I have. I'm not kidding, like a bucket of them since my kids.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes, Sherry, have you looked back like 5-6 years and looked at it and said, I'm still bitching about the same shit. Right?
Oh yeah.
For like 5 years I've been talking about this. Sometimes that's motivation. And you say, you know what? Not 1 second longer.
Am I going to do that? Or the other thing too is I'll start looking at some of the stuff that I was complaining about or that was in my life. And I was like, really? That's what I was complaining about?
Right.
Really? And so you can see also the evolution on how you've progressed mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
I know.
So
good stuff. Good stuff, Nurse Sherry.
So today is Wednesday, August 11th.
It is.
And it's Happy Hempy Hump Day. Wild Wednesday, Wellness for Wednesday. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, we talk about healthy fats. We talk about diet, nutrition, all different types of things. And we're going to get into endocannabinoids we make.
Yes.
Phytocannabinoids the plant makes. And fats and the importance of fat in our diet. Fats
are required. You need to have fats in your diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Sherry, one of that statistic that I quote a lot, it was, this fact, when the low fat diet was pushed and introduced, remember the government said, everything should be low fat. You should have low fat milk and low fat cheese. And you really need to limit the fats in your diet. That was also the beginning of the obesity epidemic. So those two things could be tied together, right? It was like they were on the same trajectory.
Exactly.
So we're back to fats and diets now.
Healthy fat.
Healthy fats.
Right. And so when they removed fat from the diet, they replaced it with sugar and artificial flavors, artificial colorings,
right?
Things to prolong shelf life.
They replaced it with profitable products, Sherry.
Exactly.
You're right. It wasn't about nutrition. It was about profit. So
exactly. And so the important thing about fats, okay, fat actually protects our cells. If you think about it. And fat also, healthy amount of fat that protects our cells, certain nutrients don't get into our cells because they're fat soluble.
Certain drugs don't get into our cells unless they're carried by a fat molecule, right? So there are a lot of fat soluble drugs that are beneficial, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So endocannabinoids.
Right? I love it when you talk dirty.
Endocannabinoids.
Endocannabinoids. Yes.
Make them.
Oh.
Ready? And they're fatty acid molecules. Oh,
right.
Boom.
Yeah.
And
that's why
2AG.
Yeah, anandamide and 2AG. And that, Sherry, is why it's the only neurotransmitter that's made on demand and not stored in the body, because it's fat soluble, right? And our bodies are 70-80% water, so it's not compatible. So we generate these endocannabinoids on demand, as opposed to all the other neurotransmitters that are water soluble and they're stored in the body. It's amazing.
It is. It is. So the fatty acid molecules that we make, the anandamide and the 2AG, these are the endocannabinoids, and they bind to the CB1 and the CB2 receptors, as well as some of the other receptors around the body. Like Mark had said, they are fat-loving or lipophilic and not water-soluble. Okay, so the interesting thing, when we talk about water-soluble products, right, what we're talking about is products that have been altered that can be emulsified in water and utilized in our body. So we just talked about, so endocannabinoids, they're synthesized upon demand because they are fat soluble in response to stress. And their function, like we talked about, is to keep our umbrella in homeostasis or balance.
Yes.
Right. And so here's the other cool thing too. So the difference, so we've got endocannabinoids that we make, phytocannabinoids that the plant makes. They make a ton of them. The two most abundant are the THC and the CBD. And the big difference too, one of the other differences between them is that endocannabinoids are dissolved much quicker. They're degraded in microseconds by these enzymes that we make, whereas the phytocannabinoids that the plant makes last much longer in our system because they lock onto the CB1 and CB2 receptors at greater intensity, and they can actually be stored in our fat tissues.
Right. Yeah. Exciting.
I know. Good stuff. So that's why fats matter.
That's why fats matter. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The fats that we eat matter. So our human bodies are at least 15% body fat. I know mine is up over 20 something, you know. My cells are well protected, Sherry.
They are well protected.
So, you know, the brain is made up of mostly water and fat. 60% of brain tissue is fat.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah. So that taunt fathead is not that far off. I'm possibly a fathead. So
just think you've got more brain matter to, you know.
Right.
More
so
brain
exactly. More brain matter, Cher. So how do they look at fats? You know, how do they quantify them? Because we have monosaturated, unsaturated, polysaturated fats. Why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So what they do is the size of the dietary fat is measured by the length of the fatty hydrocarbon tail, which is interesting. So fatty acids, they come in different sizes. Like we said, generally short, medium, or long chains.
Right. And Cher, you know, they've been argued about forever, right? When the low fat diet came in, fats were terrible, you know, and they said polyunsaturated fats are bad for you, and trans fats, right? They banned trans fats. And it's all about the size of that chain and how the body absorbs and uses it. Right?
Exactly. So when we discuss like the multiple forms and the structure. So
Mm-hmm.
saturated fats don't have those double bonds. Unsaturated fats have one double bond, and
Mm-hmm.
polyunsaturated fats have greater than one double bond.
Right.
And the interesting thing too, for example, a lot of products contain MCT oil, right? Or
Yeah.
coconut oil. And, they have longer carbon chains, right? Other fats like ALA or omega-3 found in hemp seed oil also have long chain fatty acids, and they make up at least 14 of those tails. And in the case of ALA, the omega-3, it has 18 carbons long, right? So these fats, all of these fats, that we're utilized that we consume are utilized in specific ways to do specific things to keep our bodies in balance. So the thing also about fatty fats is that there are some that are known as essential fatty acids, meaning that we cannot get them, our body cannot produce them, and without getting them in our diet, the human body can't thrive.
Right. And those include omega-3, which we know, from a lot of research is such a positive, it's a positive a positive fat. So you get that a lot like in the Mediterranean diet, right? So fatty fish, and then you have omega-6. And it's, you know what, you say it right here, Cher. It's about the balance between omega-3 and omega-6. And I think one of the problems is that our diet became very high in omega-6, and that's not necessarily a great thing, right?
Exactly. So consuming a proper balance of polyunsaturated fats can be the key to a balanced endocannabinoid system.
Yes.
And the reason why is because these essential fatty acids are the precursors to the endocannabinoids that we make. Right?
Yes.
Our bodies use fats that we eat to maintain balance and to respond to dynamic situations that we face every day.
Right.
Fats
right. Yeah. And I mean, it's, we store fats for a specific purpose. It's called living because, over the many eons we've been human beings on the planet, our bodies evolved to always have a certain level of fat on board just in case food supplies get a little bit slim. And that's when your body, right? Ketone diet, the ketosis, the keto diet, that's about switching your body to burn that fat.
That burn.
Yeah. And use that as fuel, which is actually much more efficient than turning glucose into sugar into glucose and
for energy.
For energy, exactly, Cher.
Yeah. So you can see, so here we're going to correlate over to the cannabis plant, right? So the endocannabinoid system, we make internal endogenous cannabinoids. We need healthy fat for those internal endogenous cannabinoids to work effectively. So you think about, now we're going to go over to phytocannabinoids. Remember how we talk about the plant makes THC? We make a non-dimine molecular structure similar. So we're going to kind of parallel along the way. So phytocannabinoids, the plant molecules, they activate the cannabinoid receptors to support our body's capacity for healing, right? And so it's essential. And when we are educating patients, we tell them to make sure that you're having a healthy source of fat in your diet, because it can help the cannabinoids that you are ingesting to work better.
Amen. Right? Yes.
Amen. So we've been talking about, so phytocannabinoids, made by the plant, they support the body's capacity for innate healing. And then when we start to narrow it down, we talk about strains, and we're trying to get away from strains and looking at chemovars, chemotypes.
Right.
And so when we talk about these different classifications, we're trying to distinguish like a more scientific approach as opposed to like the different strain names. So the proper scientific terminology, they're looking at chemovar and chemotype, which is the full profile of the cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids.
Right.
And they use this because it's definitely more reflective. We talked about this yesterday when we were talking about phytol and different types of terpenes, and how, when we're looking at specific strain names, you have to know the cannabinoids, the terpenes profile, But the other thing that's important is, what is your ratio to THC and CBD?
Right.
What is the amount? And that plays a huge component in how the cannabis plant is going to affect you, whether you smoke.
Absolutely. As time goes on, Sherry, we're going to get more granular in our testing, and it won't just be the THC CBD ratio. We'll start to pull in all the other minor cannabinoids and terpene profiles, which we're starting to do now, but we'll really get to it as technology gets better and we just get more of an understanding of how these work. So what do we have? We have chemotype 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And what does that correlate with?
So basically, the chemotype 1 is high amounts of THC, low amounts of CBD. The chemotype 2 is a balanced amount of CBD and THC. And the chemotype 3 is a high amount of CBD, low amount of THC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you said, the classifications distinguish this as a more scientific approach as opposed to, strain names, which don't correlate to anything other than some really funny names. Exactly. Right? Yeah. Exactly.
So the takeaway from this is to remember healthy dietary fat to consume, to look at what you're consuming. When you're reading labels, what's, healthy dietary fats, avocados, raw nut butters, coconut oil, a lot of MCT oil, olive oil.
Now, so you have that. It sounds like a Mediterranean diet to me, Cher.
I know it does.
Yeah. A lot of healthy fats in the Mediterranean diet.
Exactly. And it's important because for our ability to make our own endocannabinoids. Just think, healthy fat, it helps us make our own internal endogenous cannabinoids. Right. Healthy fat allows the plant phytocannabinoids to be utilized much more effectively in our body. That's the big takeaway, right? Boom. Choose healthy fat. Boom.
Yes.
Yes. And remember, you're all about love, and we all need to love ourselves. Listen.
Yes.
Self, you love the world. You show up differently.
You do show up differently. That was a great way to start off, Sherry. You really do. You put like you said, you put the different goggles on, you put the different glasses on, and you're coming at it from a different perspective. And, I was attending a conference yesterday, which is why I couldn't be on. And the speaker was about mindfulness. She was an Olympic athlete. She was probably the top rower in the country when she was in the game. And she talked about how to use mindfulness. And, at the end of the day, it was about self-love and really showing up in the world, as a powerful, loving human being. And we talked about, what we talked about? We talked about acceptance. So what's so versus what we make it mean. Just accepting that what's so is what's so.
What's so is what's so. I don't have to give meaning to it.
No.
Unless I want to
suffer. Right. It's the distance between the what's so and the meaning you make where all the pain is. If you can bring this closer to here, the pain goes away. The suffering goes away. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Nurse Mark.
So here we are, Nurse Sherry.
Here we are.
Wednesday, August 11.
Right. And so tonight we do have a special edition.
You do. I see it.
Yeah. We have a special edition coming up tonight with Elizabeth Mack, the CEO and founder of Holistic Caring Network, and also the Vice President of Program Development, Tasha Jackson. So we're going to come on and we're going to talk about our merger, right? We have a big announcement to make. We did we did a press release, last week. And tonight we're going to really talk about what does that mean? We got East meets West. Elizabeth out on the West Coast, she was doing her thing. All of us green nurses here on the East Coast doing our thing.
Yeah.
What does it mean to come together as two different companies, and how are we going to do that? What are we going to do? How are we going to change the world coming together?
Right.
And we're going to talk about that and the different roles and how you all out there can help us with our mission. We need you all. So we want you to join us tonight to listen to, the literally the live press release on what we're doing here in the community to help to evolve plant medicine, to help more people, to
Yep.
help more patients, to help more providers. And literally, like Mark and I, we say all the time, we're here to change the world.
That's what we're here to do.
One puff at a time.
And why is that, Sherry? Why is it?
The reason why it is because we all deserve to feel good.
Yes.
And really, honestly, it's about living your best life and helping others do the same.
It really is.
For sure.
For sure. Anything else you want to add? Because that's a beautiful way to end it right there.
No, that's a good way to end.
That's a good way to end it.
Join us in the community and join us tonight. We love you all so much.
Love you all. Good to see you all. See you soon.
Tomorrow.
Bye.